A lot of people in crypto are now wondering, are they late to the major AI trade, which is Bittensor or 𝗪? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over exactly why I really don't think you are late if you are still looking at 𝗪 currently. And even as far as a local top perspective, there are some people out there thinking there's some top signals, and a lot of people are really jumping on the bandwagon about the 𝗪 token. I'm going to go over exactly why I think the upside has much more potential, like the Zcash trade that we saw a couple of months ago, where every single time it looked like a local top, this thing just absolutely kept skyrocketing. And also, just looking around world narratives, I think that this is still a no-brainer trade. So let's go ahead and jump into short-term price predictions, why I think this is still going to run, as well as breaking down what I'm doing with my Bittensor 𝗪 bag, utilizing subnets for good return on investment. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, guys, if you are new to the channel, as always, guys, drop down, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel for more. Every single week here on In the Game, we have you covered Monday through Friday with everything you need to know across 𝗪 and everything else in crypto, so we can all win long term. And you can also check out the sponsors down below in the description. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. Obviously, this Bittensor 𝗪 chart is beautiful, up 85% over the monthly time frame. And this has been one of the long-term altcoins we have shouted from the rooftops here on this channel for quite some time. And it's just awesome seeing this trade come to light. But a lot of people are starting to worry. We're looking across the board. We see Victor on Twitter saying that 𝗪 is one of these coins that has clear buy pressure. But do you really want to buy after Jason and Chamath shilled? So on the All In podcast, we're seeing a lot of major names come in and say 𝗪's better than Bitcoin and all of this stuff. And some people are wondering, is this a top signal? But I almost think that people are calling it a top signal too much. And when you look at the catalysts that are going on, I more so agree with this tweet that 𝗪 could potentially pull a Zcash. And I mean, look, the chart is showing you one thing. We see $833 million in volume over the last 24 hours. We see VC funds, Mark Jeffrey, as Jesus points out here, Still Core Capital wants to own 1% of all 𝗪. So we are seeing the exact same tokenomic model, the exact same economic model as Bitcoin, but with real proof of work with AI, as AI projects come to build on 𝗪. And we see here big funds trying to accumulate 1% of the supply. 𝗪 has something that Bitcoin never had. You must spend 𝗪 to create a subnet. Subnets are AI startups, as we've talked about. You must stake 𝗪 to mine. You must stake 𝗪 to get subnet tokens. And only 20% is currently staked. So there's so much more demand to come in here to the subnet sector. And most people aren't even taking advantage of the yield that comes through these subnets. And I mean, look, if you are a little bit, skeptical about what's going on here, I think a lot of people, we've talked about 𝗪 on this channel for quite some time. I think a lot of people are more so new, they're just downloading 𝗪 wallets and stuff like that. And we see a perspective here that the 𝗪 bulls are coming out of the woodwork and really pulling a narrative clinic. So far, I can't tell if I should buy yet, but here's some things I like about it. So this seems to be someone who could be sidelined potentially. It's tough to get exposure to AI right now without a crazy connection, capital scale, or lucky opportunity. And as Rob Greer here says, partner of the Bittensor Fund, that he thinks that people are going to be buying 𝗪 like it is the Bitcoin of AI, because it is a better opportunity than expensive corporate AI rounds. Let's go ahead and jump into this, because I think obviously you buy 𝗪, you're getting exposure to all of these subnets. So you're buying 120 something subnets whenever you buy 𝗪. And all of these startups are building on this one network. And you're basically by a proxy getting exposure to all of these different startups, rather than having to write a check into random AI startups that come through the door or whatever the case is. You're able to just capitalize on the #1 decentralized network of startups, which is Bittensor. So I absolutely agree with that thesis. And when we look at the chart here, it seems a lot of people are looking at that the exact same way. And they are looking at it as 𝗪 is the Bitcoin of AI. So I'm going to go through this what subnets can you be looking at, as well as what should you be doing? Should you be taking profit? What is my price prediction throughout 2026? We've talked about my price prediction as far as Hyperliquid and my short-term price prediction. But looking ahead, where is Bittensor TAO going? Where can it realistically land as far as market cap? We're going to talk about that right now. So let's just jump into this. And first and foremost, if you are skeptical about subnets, look, Yuma Capital, Barry Silbert, notorious Bitcoin bull. He is all in on Bittensor TAO. Their subnet fund is on fire, up 90 or 76% year to date. Excited to see Bittensor TAO getting the investor attention it deserves. And this is really getting pulled by 𝗪𝗪, Targan, and We Build Score. These are the three that are really absolutely crushing it at this point in time. And look, I think that there's so many good projects building on Bittensor, and more so, there's going to be a lot of them that fail. But I think that the quality of project that's coming into Bittensor right now is one thing. But I think the flock that is going to come in over the next year to try to build on Bittensor, even if you looked at the AI landscape of tokens, there's probably going to be tokens that full send over to the TAO network to want to build to get a share of these emissions. So instead of these startups going out and trying to raise capital from venture funds, et cetera, they're basically competing for a share of the daily TAO emissions. And the TAO emissions are based on the exact same tokenomic model as Bitcoin. So it is a much more manageable setup. And also the good projects get the market share and the bad projects just fade away. That's just how it is. So if you're not familiar with what these different subnets are doing, let's just take a look at an example here. We have Resi, the real estate oracle. So as you can see here, end-to-end real estate AI infrastructure. And what Resi is doing, when Zillow comes through the door, they're giving you estimates. And I actually recently dealt with this about an appraisal on a property, and the appraisal was way off. So whenever you're looking at what Resi is doing, they're building a pricing oracle for the $300 trillion real estate market. Tokenizing property doesn't work without actual price data. And we're always talking about how we want to tokenize real estate. And we've seen this with RWAs, et cetera. And reports show that Zillow has lost $1 billion due to inaccurate pricing models, whereas Resi is using decentralized AIs to accurately price these properties and come out with a better solution than what Zillow's doing with their estimates. And the miners here are just competing to build the most accurate real estate price models. It really makes sense as far as an evaluation model perspective that this is where it's going to move, right? Zestimates, they need to move to AI most likely. And the 1 to 2 pricing, the 1 to 2% pricing accuracy unlocks institutional grade markets. And the long-term vision here includes DeFi style lending against tokenized property. So a really cool project being built right on top of Bittensor. And you can also come through here and see if you look at Targan's partnering up with Intel. It's just crazy. They also partnered up with NVIDIA. They got accepted into NVIDIA's startup program. We're seeing Targan here saying that their virtual machine to enable confidential Ts in production. Today, they're sharing their white paper written alongside Intel, decentralized compute on untrusted hardware using Intel TDX and encrypted CVMs. And we can see some of these different, subnets. We've talked about Bitcast, which is a creator network for the TAO network. You can see their attention economy is now number 4 in all of crypto. Pretty impressive. And you're seeing a lot of people list their favorite ones here. 𝗪𝗪, you can see Constantine. I don't even know how to pronounce that one. We can see Shoots. We see Targan. We see Ridges. These are some of the most popular ones. And what am I doing with my TAO bag? I think that is something that we should definitely go over here because I've gotten a lot of questions. What should I be staking in? Which subnets are the best? Which have the best rate of returns? We're going to go ahead and go over that right now in this video as to where I'm allocating my capital, how much percentage of my bag am I putting in? And, talking about stuff like Resi or Targan or Bitcast, et cetera. There's so many promising projects. How many should you diversify into? We're going to go over that right now. And I mentioned this on the subnet video yesterday before we're not going to really dive too deep into all these numerous subnets and what they do. If you want to know my favorite subnets out there, for example, I just wanted to give you example of what different subnets are doing with Resi, and you can see Targan, etc. But we did go over this more in depth on yesterday's video. In today's video, I'm going to go over my price prediction for this year, and on top of that, the subnets that I'm staking in. So first and foremost, you are absolutely going to want to take a look at the emission percentages. This is very important. This is where the positive TAO flow is coming through the door. As you can see here, the amount of TAO coming through over the week, the month, and the 24-hour time period. But more importantly, these are the projects that are getting the most share of TAO emissions every single 24 hours. So right now, the two of my favorites, my top two overall subnets, as we mentioned on yesterday's video, 𝗪𝗪 and Targan, they're getting 15% of the emissions right now, which is absolutely insane. I am allocated into both of those. 𝗪𝗪 the heaviest, as I think that they're just getting the most attention because of Jensen Huang talking about it with Chamath on the All In podcast. And then Targan getting 6% of the emission flow. So those two are very, very good for me at this point in time. Another one that I am in on, just given the growth, as we see here, the attention economy, top creators ranked by YouTube subscribers, Bitcast has grown to number 4 in the entire crypto industry. I do like this one as a sleeper that's probably going to continue to grow, and they are getting a good set of emissions right now. 1.5% of the daily emissions is going to Bitcast. So I love that as well. If you were interested in Resi, they're only getting 0.6% right now. I am not staked in that one. That was just a pure example of a subnet that's doing really cool things, trying to disrupt a little bit of the pricing models in the real estate sector. So you can see here, 𝗪𝗪, Targan, as well as Bitcast. Those are the three that I'm allocated into. What I wouldn't do is full port your TAO. Never go 100% into any subnet. Never fully rely your entire TAO bag on staking. Here's what I'm doing. I've allocated 50% of my holdings to locking it up within the subnets, because most people aren't even utilizing the subnets at all. They're only hoping for price appreciation on TAO, which is great. But also, if the subnets appreciate in price and you unstake from these alpha tokens, from these subnets, you make money in TAO because you're pulling it back out and it converts back into Bittensor TAO, the native token. So regardless, you can take advantage of these emission flows. And a lot of these are paying out 40+% yearly as far as APY to the investors. So right now, I have about 50% of my holdings into subnets, and then 50% of my holdings I just keep in a cold wallet utilizing the TAO wallet. So that is what I'm doing at this point in time. About 50% staked, 50% unstaked, just hoping for that price appreciation. And then 50%, I'm just playing the subnet game, because as these subnets go up, let's just take a look at like Targan or 𝗪𝗪. 𝗪𝗪 is on a giga bull run right now. If we just look at this chart for 𝗪𝗪, it's absolutely insane. The volume over 24 hours is $10.2 million. The FDV is up to $661.3 million. The amount of alpha tokens staked is 2.79 million of the 𝗪𝗪 token. And in the pool, there's 137,000 TAO, which is $44 million in this pool alone. It is pretty crazy, the adoption going on right now on subnets. And look, TAO is in a full-blown bull run. And the last thing we're going to talk about is my price prediction. Look, I can understand that some people out there feel like they've missed the trade, or feel like, okay, it's ripped 80% this month. I don't know if I want to hold. And they've also seen Chamath and Jason shilling this thing. Jason saying TAO over Bitcoin. Let's just call a spade a spade. Bitcoin is obviously the king asset, but I do think that TAO has really solidified itself as the AI king asset of crypto. And if you want the exposure to the Bitcoin of AI, it's absolutely TAO. Now, the one thing is you're going to get better ROI from a percentage perspective from investing in something like TAO than you would in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, to do a 2x, would have to raise trillions in value, whereas you're looking at the top AI coin in crypto. This thing's only at $3.4 billion. Meanwhile, we're seeing Claude and OpenClaw and OpenAI, Anthropic, all this stuff going crazy in the real world. And we can take a look at this TAO valuation, only $3.4 billion. there's so much more upside as far as multiples perspective with the TAO token. So I really don't think you've missed it. And I actually agree with Ice's tweet here that it could pull a Zcash rally. If you guys remember back in the fall, we actually saw here as this chart loads, we'll take a look at Zcash. Zcash was every single time this thing pumped, people thought, oh, top signal. It went from 40 bucks to 280 in like 4 weeks. And then at 280, people thought it topped. It went down to 220. Boom. Rips all the way up step by step. It goes from 340 to 420, all the way up here to 711, and then to 690. Like this thing just kept running. And I remember during this Zcash trade, I was sidelined. I completely missed this trade. And every single person was saying, oh, this is top. There's no way it's going to keep going higher. And it just did. And right now, AI is so hot. And I think that with crypto, if Bitcoin can even just stabilize at 70K, I think that this could pull a little more of a run, kind of like Zcash. So looking at the price action, I am firm on my stance that we could see $1,000 TAO this year. I think even in the short term, if we look at this yearly chart, if we just achieved 500 in the coming weeks off of this momentum, I think that's a huge win from these lows at $150. We've been buying all along this chart, but seeing that $150 price point, if we can 3.5x up to that $500 level in the short term, that is still a phenomenal trade. But from there, I would not be surprised if Bitcoin can hold some momentum throughout the year, that we see $1,000 TAO this year. I really believe in that. And I think it's definitely possible with the momentum in AI and the momentum on the Bittensor TAO network with the subnets, etc. So I know today was a lot. It was kind of a ramble at some points, but also just going over like some people are calling for a top. And I almost feel like that consensus is a little heavy when you look into data and you look at how much money is flowing into these subnets. We are in the midst of an AI bull run. It is all happening on Bittensor. And I definitely think you still have a time and opportunity to capitalize on upside throughout subnet staking, as well as just Bittensor price appreciation. I mean, in the long term, do we really think that the #1 AI coin in all of crypto, the #1 decentralized network in all of crypto AI is going to be at $3.4 billion? Like, this is an industry that's projected to be at like 30 trillion in a couple of years. If Bittensor can even take a sliver of that market share, I think this thing has rocket ship potential from here. So that's what I'm looking at with the Bittensor TAO token. I know there's been a lot of TAO content, but we've been calling this for such a long time. And on top of that, look, it is the main narrative in crypto right now. So it's awesome seeing this trade come to fruition. And I will see you guys on tomorrow's video. As always, if you enjoyed the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts. Is TAO at a local top? Where do you see this at the end of the year? Are you insane bull like I am? Or do you think that, you know, we are going to see a landslide of price action from here? Exit liquidity filing through the door. I'd love to hear your thoughts, but I really see with AI where it is in the world and Bittensor's dominance on decentralized AI, I think we have much more upside for the TAO bulls out there. So like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. Trade responsibly and stay bullish, my friends.